What's up guys, my name is Ryan Shirley and I spent the last few years exploring Europe and now I want to show you my favorite medieval locations. So here is my medieval places top 10. The Middle Ages began in the 5th century after the fall of the Roman Empire and then merged into the Renaissance during the 15th century. The Middle Ages are also referred to as the Dark Ages due to the lack of scientific and cultural advancement. While life during the Middle Ages was filled with war, poverty, and plagues, some of the world's most iconic cities and architecture were born during this time. Alright, let's start this video off at the medieval island of Mont Saint-Michel. Located 1 kilometer off the coast of France, Mont Saint-Michel is one of the most magical destinations in all of Europe. It was the inspiration of Tangled's Kingdom of Corona. It also reminds me a lot of Hogwarts. The island is full of homes, small shops, with the crowning monastery perched on top of the island's highest point. One of the cool things about Mont Saint-Michel is that, depending on the tides, the area around it could be completely covered in water or it could just be completely dry. Due to its strategic position and dangerous changing tides, the island remained protected throughout history. Now, Saint-Michel is one of France's most popular tourist destinations with over 3 million annual visitors. Before 2014, you could only access the island before low tide, but an elevated road was built, making the island accessible all the time. If you are in northern France or near Paris, you really need to visit this magical city. After Mont Saint-Michel, we're going to head over to Italy to visit the charming town of San Gimignano. Located in Tuscany, San Gimignano is a stunning medieval city perched upon a hill. One of the most iconic features of the city is the medieval watchtowers. Currently, there are 14 watchtowers still standing, but during the city's prime, there were over 72 towers with the highest up to 230 feet tall. The towers were built as a result of competing families who wanted to build the tallest and most grand tower. Owning a tower became a status symbol for the people in the city. I mean, I just can't imagine how it must have looked back then. I guess you could say it was the Manhattan of the Middle Ages. I went there a few years ago and I was just baffled by all these towers. Now, San Gimignano flourished as a city until 1348 when the plague of Black Death struck the town, which resulted in killing over half the population. San Gimignano's medieval vibe has been untouched throughout time and has become one of the most popular medieval locations in Italy. While we're still in Italy, we're going to head over to the nearby San Marino. The Republic of San Marino is a microstate completely enclosed by Italy. The history of this small country is absolutely fascinating. It was founded by a stonemason from Croatia named Saint Marinus. After facing persecution for his Christian sermons, he fled to the mountain of Monte Titano, where he built a church and founded the small country in the year 301 AD. San Marino claims to be the oldest surviving sovereign state and the oldest constitutional republic. The capital of the country is the city of San Marino, and it's situated on the slopes of Monte Titano. It's hard to beat the location of the city. One of the most iconic spots in San Marino is the fortress of Guaita. It was built in the 11th century and served as a prison. San Marino is just such a beautiful yet interesting city and country, and I hope you all can visit. After San Marino, we're going to head over to Greece to visit the medieval monasteries of Meteora. Located in central Greece, Meteora is home to 6 monasteries built upon nearly inaccessible rock pillars. During the 14th century, monks were facing attacks from Turkish raiders, so they needed a place where they could worship in safety. They decided to start building the monasteries upon the rocks. These places of worship were perfect for the monks because the only way to reach them was by climbing long ladders. The monasteries became a place of refuge, and over 20 monasteries were built during the 14th century. I was lucky enough to go here a few years ago. When I got there, I was just amazed by the architecture of these monasteries. They are perched perfectly on the cliff edge, and you wonder how people could have built these in the medieval times. Monks and nuns currently live in the 6 surviving monasteries. The largest one is the monastery of Great Meteoron. If you're ever in Greece, make sure you visit this magical place. After Meteora, we're going to head up north to see the medieval castles of Transylvania. Now, Transylvania is a very intriguing yet spooky region. is the birthplace of the infamous ruler Vlad the Impaler. Transylvania is also where Bram Stoker's novel Count Dracula takes place. One of the most famous locations in Transylvania is the Bran Castle. Located near the city of Brasov, the castle was built around the 14th century and served as a fortification against the invading Ottoman Empire. For a long time it was believed that Vlad the Impaler was imprisoned here, but historians now conclude that Vlad was imprisoned elsewhere. Due to its dramatic architecture and possible connection with Vlad the Impaler, the castle has been named Dracula's Castle. I mean, I could totally imagine Count Dracula using this place as his hideout. Another impressive medieval castle in Romania is the Corvin Castle. It's one of the largest castles in Europe, and its construction began in 1446. Like Bran Castle, it has a spooky Dracula vibe to it. Needless to say, Transylvania is a fascinating region with an uncanny history. I can't think of a better place to visit this Halloween. After Romania, we're going to head up north to Croatia to visit the medieval town of Dubrovnik. One of the most popular medieval cities in Europe, the history of Dubrovnik dates back to the 7th century when it was founded by refugees. During the 14th century up to 1808, Dubrovnik was a free state. One of the most notable features of Dubrovnik are the walls that surround the city. They are almost 2 kilometers in length and are anywhere from 4 to 6 meters thick. The walls were used to protect the city throughout history. The unique look of the city has made it a popular filming location. Dubrovnik was featured in Game of Thrones as it was used to depict the city of King's Landing. Afterwards, we're going to head up to the German village of the Rothenburg. When you go to Rothenburg, you feel like you're walking into a fantasy movie. It's one of the most preserved medieval towns in Europe. During the Middle Ages, Rothenburg thrived as it was located at the crossroads of the European trade routes. At the beginning of the 15th century, it rose to become the second largest city in Germany, but during the 17th century, Rothenburg faced adversities such as the 30 Years' War and the bubonic plague. Without much resources, Rothenburg's growth was halted, which aided in keeping the town preserved in its medieval state. Today, Rothenburg maintains its medieval charm. It's been the inspiration for Disney movies such as Pinocchio and Beauty and the Beast. If you can, go check out the famous Plonine Corner or the Christmas market. It's hard to beat the allure of this German village. Afterwards, we are going to Belgium to visit the medieval city of Bruges. Due to its tidal inlets and canals, Bruges is sometimes referred to as the Venice of the North. Bruges' tidal inlet helped it become one of the most prosperous cities during the Middle Ages as it quickly became a strategic location for maritime trade routes. Bruges continued to flourish until the year 1500 when the tidal inlet became silted up, which led to the decline of the city. Today, most of Bruges' medieval structures have remained intact. One of my favorite features of the city is the market square. It's towered over by a 277-foot medieval bell tower of Belfry, which was constructed in the 13th century. Just such an impressive and unique medieval city. After Bruges, we're going to head to Switzerland to visit the village of Lavertezzo. Located in the Versaska Valley lies a small mountain village that is a perfect combination of nature with medieval architecture. Due to its isolated location, the region has been well preserved. It was mostly occupied by farmers during the Middle Ages. One of my favorite features of Lavertezzo is the Ponte di Salti bridge. This medieval style bridge was constructed in the 1600s. Not only is it visually stunning, but it's also a perfect spot to cliff jump. That's what made me want to go here. The water of the Versaska River is some of the clearest water that I've ever swam in, but don't get me wrong, it was freaking cold. Aside from the beautiful river and bridge, the Church of Santa Maria degli Angeli is another impressive sight. It was built in the 1500s and completes the medieval feel of Lavertezzo. Alright, after cliff jumping in Via Versasca, we're going to head back to the Italian coast to visit Cinque Terre. Now, Cinque Terre is made up of 5 seaside villages that date back to medieval times. During the medieval ages, the villages started to be attacked by pirates, so fortifying walls were built to protect them against any future raids. The small town of Vernazza is one of my favorites. It has the only natural port of Cinque Terre. I just can't get over the colorful houses and beauty of the Cinque Terre. It's hard to beat the charm of these Italian villages. Alright, well that is it for my medieval top 10. I had a lot of fun making this. I really enjoyed diving into the history of these places. There are so many intriguing medieval locations throughout Europe. I'll have to make a part 2. Let me know in the comments below where your favorite medieval place is. I'd love to know. If you guys want free stock footage, LUTs, and some travel guides, check out my website in the description below. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at shirley.films. It's Ryan, and we will see you later.